Sans tarder, je passe la parole à son Excellence, Monsieur l'ambassadeur de Turquie. Vous savez que la Turquie préside actuellement le groupe G20 et nous souhaitons que la Turquie soit l'un des partenaires préférés des ACP à l'avenir. Monsieur l'ambassadeur, merci d'être venu. Vous avez la parole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for inviting me to address this August body. And of course, I'd like to start off with congratulating you on your 40 years. It's quite an achievement. And before I touch upon the G20 presidency of Turkey, I'd like to mention our relationship with the ACP in a few minutes. In the last 15 years, as Turkey developed itself, I think that we have been able to increase our relationship with ACP countries, economically, commercially, politically, and development-wise as well. And I think that basically the most important moment for us in the last 15 years was our campaign for membership in the Security Council. And in that sense, to be very frank with you, we rediscovered the world. We were able to do that because the world had changed, the Cold War had ended, we had more opportunities, and through development we had more means. And through that also we have opened embassies throughout the world, basically in ACP countries. And just to inform you, today before I came here, I was informed that we will open 2 new embassies, one in Equatorial Guinea and one in Fiji. So if I can now start my presentation on the G20 presidency. We have taken up the presidency last December, and we will conclude it in a summit in Antalya on the 15th and 16th of November. Although we call ourselves the G20, of course, there are a number of countries that can participate. And therefore, the African Union will be represented there, and a new partnership for Africa's development are also invited. Like all, presidencies, we have a rather ambitious agenda, or that's how we try to call it. And therefore, we have come up with an easy slogan, the 3 I's: implementation, inclusiveness, and investment. Starting off with implementation. It is, as you had mentioned before, turning words into actions. This is very important. The G20 members have committed themselves to policy measures estimated to lift collective G20 growth by an additional 2.1% over the next 5 years, the so-called 2 in 5 target. The IMF and OECD calculate that implementing G20 growth strategies can generate additional $2 trillion in the world economy. The first accountability report on how much progress we have made towards this target will be presented in this summit in Antalya this year. Secondly, inclusiveness. The G20's overarching aim has been to foster strong, sustainable, and balanced growth. One of our primary goals is to add inclusive growth to this, both at national and international level. We have a moral obligation to address inequality, which also hinders economic growth, worsened by the effects of the global financial crisis. Last year, the G20 made a commitment to reduce the gender gap in the labor force participation by 25% until 2025, the 25 to 25 targets. Its implementation will bring 100 million women into the workforce. That's the estimate. And of course, we also target youth unemployment. Small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, are another important element. They are the powerhouse of employment, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit. We launched the World SME Forum on the 23rd of May, just last month, as a new major initiative to drive the contributions of SMEs to the global economic growth. So for the first time, there will be a united and global voice of the SMEs. The low-income developing countries are an important focal point for us as well. Our message: the G20 is not only concerned about its own interests, but its policies should also benefit the entire community. In sum, a better global dialogue. And lastly, investment. Investments that, of course, key to unlocking growth and generating new jobs. And the public sector cannot do it alone. So we need a partnership between the public and the private sector. So we propose that the G20 countries prepare national investment strategies to support their national growth programs. And we have to see what's coming up, and again, they will be submitted to the Antalya Summit. We also have a Sustainable Development Goals Summit in New York in September, as we discussed. It is important that the G20's decisions and actions strengthen the work of the EU, of the UN. Another topic is the G20 agriculture ministers. Food, to be able to support people with regard to sustainable food systems. So we will have the second ministerial meeting. We already had it, I'm sorry. And we believe that we have to meet the challenges of food systems. Energy access, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa, is an important element in our agenda. We have a high-level conference with the participation of African leaders, back-to-back with our G20 Energy Ministers meeting. This will take place in October in Turkey, and we hope that this will be the first time that we have an Energy Ministers meeting, and of course we hope that this will be beneficial to all. And lastly, but not least, with regard to women, we have a meeting in which we will engage with a number of countries to influence gender growth and enhance the role of women in business. Mr. Chairman, there are a number of meetings that has already been mentioned. I'm not going to talk about that to save your time. All to say that we support all the initiatives. We strive in our presidency, the first time that we've had it, to be as inclusive, as innovative as possible, and to help all countries on an equal basis. And Turkey, as it has done itself in the last 15 years, our relationship with ACP will grow, and we hope to be part of the next 40 years. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. Et on voit en Afrique, aujourd'hui, la Turquie a des ambassades dans plusieurs pays africains et les investissements turcs dans nos différents pays ne font que progresser et c'est à encourager. Merci beaucoup d'être venu.